What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28, and that's the one, the only, it's Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Scotty, happy Tuesday? It is Tuesday. I had to think about that one for a second, dude.
I need to look at the calendar many times a day now.
It's just like, okay, where are we here? What's going on today? Man,
I know we're not quite yet at the new Battlefield release. That's the biggest milestone in my future.
Dude, we got 10 days. 10 days, and then you got Battlefield, and then it's less than a month now until Halo Infinite. It's that's what we say. We always say this time of year, right? It's like the holiday season is upon us. Get ready for more games than you can handle.
Oh man, I'm trying to see how I'm gonna work in Far Cry into my life, and there's a lot that I need to get through before these shooters come up.
Oh dude, Far Cry is, you can get through it. I was talking to a buddy on Twitter, and Steve, who completed the game, I think he said in like 30 hours. Now that's like mainlining at the game, but that was, yeah dude, that was like a mainstream right through, just campaign stuff only, right? Where
that's not short.
No, it's not. That's like we always talk about how the old days of like an 8-hour 10-hour game experience is over. That's why I like some of the indies who come out and go, here's a short game for 5 hours. I'm like, thank you, I love you very much, because everything else right now is like 100 hours long, and I don't have time for 100 hours sometimes. So
no,
dude, right now Ghost Recon Breakpoint for me is that 100-hour update. Like, this update is massive, and it's taking I don't know how much time to complete. That's
another one I have to re-download and retry again. I was thwarted by somebody's genius decision to make a cursor on the menu. Yeah. Well, my cursor doesn't load up, so
weird.
Where the game began and ended for me.
That's so weird, because dude, actually, so right now, like, that Breakpoint is gone back to what I feel is more like Wildlands now, and that's why I'm hooked. Because I completed, I'm like 110 hours in now or something, and it's just one of those, see 100-hour game, here we go again. But dude, everybody can join us live over on twitch.tv/theofficialitg, as well as Inside the Game Official on YouTube. But if you can't join us live at 11 a.m. Eastern, hit us up later, InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Coming up on today's show, though, it's Xbox celebrating its 20th anniversary already. Whew, 20 years, man. So some Xbox. We got a lot to talk about there. Scorn director apologizes after a rather hostile delay statement. Dude, you should see this. And Mass Effect will continue. Yeah, so let's get going, because Xbox celebrates 20 years. The celebration will air on Monday, November 15th. For us, it'd be 1 p.m. Eastern. Well, I will be here. We're hoping Scott will be able to join us as well. They'll be live on their channel, at Xbox channel, on the YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. They say, while we won't announce any new games, this broadcast will be a special look back at all the memories we've shared with the Xbox community over the past 2 decades. Scott, you've been playing Xbox for so long, buddy.
There's a funny thing that happens in TV where if they run out of new ideas, they do a recap episode. I don't think this is a sign of them slowing down or running out of ideas, but
no.
A recap after 20 years, I guess it's been quite a long time. If I look back to how old I was when I got my hands on Halo 1 for the first time, I'm filled with a lot of memories of Xbox, that's for sure. And actually, I mentioned Halo. I think it's exactly 17 years ago Halo 2 was released.
Yes, actually it is. I just saw that this morning on Twitter. Xbox tweeted that out. So yeah, that's cool. Dude, it's been a long time. Xbox, remember when it first came out? Like, people like, man, you're trying to compete with PlayStation. What do you think you're doing? You can't do that. And then Nintendo was on a good roll at the same time, right? So I'm like, you're coming into a space that's full.
They were talking about the Nintendo Revolution at that time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, well, that's been a while, man. It's been a hot minute since we've seen anything from that. But yeah, it goes back. There's a lot to talk about, man. We've been playing games now on the Xbox side for 20 years. I've been playing PlayStation for longer. I've been playing Nintendo for even longer than that. Like, this industry has been around now for what feels like forever. But yet we still feel so early in the life cycle of video games and where the technology is taking us. But to have Xbox just celebrate, where they've started to where they're heading. I'm definitely pretty excited for Monday to see what comes out of this thing. Yeah, they said they're not going to showcase any new games. Dude, wouldn't that be nice though? Just a little tease of Fable for me would be excellent to see where they're at. But they just want to, come together as a community and talk about how it's going.
I've got one that could possibly outdo that.
What's that?
They end with a nice panoramic cut of a beautiful scenery and Snake Plissken dropping his cigarette.
Yeah, I don't know about that, buddy.
Just the words, finish the fight.
It's gonna be cool. I'm excited to see it. That's what I said. 20 years is a long time. We've all been playing Xbox now for so many years, and Xbox just gets better and better every single year. We talk about how Game Pass is such a phenomenal service now to be able to tap into the library. We've seen some people get mixed reactions with Forza Horizon 5. Nate and I talked about it. Basically, it's the same game from Forza 4 and Forza 3, right? It's the same formula. I guess I should really say what it is. And for some, that's great, and for others, it's not, right? There's not enough innovation there. This year for Forza Horizon 5 was a focus on multiplayer and how can they broaden that experience a bit. But at the end of the day, we see iteration after iteration, and these games step up and they're moving forward. We now see Halo Infinite moving into a whole other direction and going open world compared to what we've been experiencing in the past with Halo games, right? So we've seen such a leap in technology and what the developers are able to accomplish now versus what they started with when they initially launched Halo, being Bungie at the time too. They've even changed developers now, Scott, going from Bungie over to 343. So there's a history there, man, and I'm excited to see how they tap into that history and showcase it for the community. I'm curious, how long do you think it's going to be, Scott?
Oh, I'm thinking either 25 minutes or like a 45-minute window. I think 45 might be kind of pushing it, but 20 years, you could easily fill that time. So it's really hard to say. But of course, I think it's been 20 years. When they entered the industry, they kind of had to assimilate to look the part. And then in those 20 years now, they've gone on to revolutionize what's happening in the industry with things like Game Pass.
Yeah.
So I'm left wondering 20 years from now, what's that going to look like? Will there be a Dreamcast 2?
Man, can you imagine? So Xbox buys Sega and they bring back a Dreamcast.
And then they put out a Vita just to rub salt in it.
Oh, man. Vita 2 would have been awesome. I gotta wonder if someone at PlayStation right now is considering the opportunity of bringing that out or not. But that's up for a whole other discussion. Scott, let's go into the world of Scorn, because Scorn director apologizes after a hostile delay statement. I personally apologize. I will do my best for this kind of outburst not to happen again. This comes from Jared Moore over at IGN. Dude, I can't...
I find myself saying the same thing.
Yeah, I think this is Jameer Picklar. I'm going to say that. We'll go with that. The creative director of Scorn has publicly apologized following a hostile update sent out about the game's delay. Get ready, dude. Listen to this. In an update to Kickstarter backers, the creative director at Ebb Software CEO apologizes to fans and took full responsibility for the update being posted. Quote, I quickly and haphazardly read through the draft of the update and in all my wisdom approved it, CEO said. Reading through again, it was clear that the hostile tone was written in, should have not expressed ideas or plans to people that helped us out. We may be tired, confused, and frustrated at our own inaptitude, but there is no reason to lash out at you. For that, I personally apologize. I will do my best for this kind of outburst not to happen again. You ready? So we'll keep reading because there's a lot kind of in this article. It was, man, I was surprised to see this. You don't see this very often. Having read through the original post, it is not difficult to gauge why fans were upset. When asked what the team had been doing since the game's last trailer was released in October last year, the update reads, "There's no big revelation here. We were just developing a game, and it's nothing more than that." Wow. Despite trying to explain a number of factors that affected decisions taken by the team in terms of the game's delay and its lack of communication with fans. The initial update bears a similar hostile tone at several points throughout. Referring to the launch of Cyberpunk 2077, dude, they even brought in a whole other company in game.
Ouch.
Right? Yeah. The update attempts to justify the lack of updates sent out to backers while simultaneously seeming to take aim at shareholders generally. Cyberpunk 2077, quote, Cyberpunk 2077 should have been delayed for a year, but the hype and pressure from the shareholders were more important. Maybe if they didn't push their developers to create marketing content, they could have put more time into fixing the game, end quote. The post then goes on to discuss further issues that the game has experienced, delving into problems with the hype and inexperienced development team. While it does take ownership for a number of those mistakes, the statement includes various statements and rhetorical questions throughout these sections that could be interpreted as patronizing. Man, I'm gonna scroll down. There's one here that I saw, and I was just like, "You be kidding me!" At the end of this statement, the team explains that a release date for the game has been pushed back to 2022. At the quote, and for the end, a bit of a friendly advice. Oh, this is where it comes in, Scott. Reads a concluding statement from the team. Quote, if lack of communication is so bothersome, just ask for a refund and be done with it. It's just a game. You can play it when it comes out if you're still interested, end quote. Scott, your thoughts, dude.
Well, I can tell you from my past employment experience, that's not exactly the way to say it. I think I've echoed those same sentiments in a much smaller scenario, a much smaller transaction. But basically, well, if you want it, you can have it when it's ready. But that's not exactly a PR thing. I feel like they will shortly after this hire somebody to do those PR kind of responses.
Think it would be a wise move.
This guy is not in the running pool for that job.
No, not at all, right? You have to be very careful, and diplomacy goes a long way when you try to communicate your frustrations when you shouldn't be. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, we all know video games are tough, and some may not know to the 10th degree of where they're at with their game or why the delays are happening, right? There's a ton of things, and if we can get to the article today, dude, you should see how many games were delayed this year alone. Like, it's just, it is incredible the amount of delays, right? Because there's setbacks. COVID has had a huge impact on the industry alone. But to take your frustrations out on those who supported your game from day one and the Kickstarter backer level, you should be like praising those people. Because if it wasn't for them, the fans, you wouldn't have your game up and running in the first place.
And there's a couple rules for when you're trying to be a salesman. I think it was the Rich Barber had written this, but it's something you must consider. These developers are taking the same questions day in and day out. Yeah. And it's of course going to be frustrating for them. But in their perspective, these people asking the questions, it's the first time they've asked that question. It's a genuine inquiry. It's not dogpiling at this point.
Sure.
So you have to kind of temper your response to those people as if they're new to the situation, because they are, essentially. You can't just convey all that frustration of the 10 people prior onto that 11th question now. It's just not fair.
No, that's just it, right? They're just curious. What's going on? Like, what's happening with the game? We have 1,000 questions, dude. I've got questions about other games too. Scalebound always comes up in the back of my mind, like, what happened to that game?
Yeah.
Like, I'd love, dude, it's there, right? What happened? Fable, like, when are we gonna see more? I'm curious. I'm not trying to be rude or be a jerk or insensitive about it. I want to know because I am excited for that IP, that property. What happened? Where did it go? What went wrong? What's going on? How come we don't have it? This, that, and the other, right? And these backers here on Kickstarter are doing the same thing for Scorn because they're like, we're excited for this game. When can we get our hands on it? When are we going to see more? When are we going to get an update? When do we get this? You want to go into silence, that's one thing, but don't take it out on those who are there supporting you. So Man,
Yeah.
well, that's an unfortunate message and something that they need to sort out. I wouldn't be pulling that off again because they will get the refund, and then you won't have the support when your game launches, and it's just going to get trashed instead. And nobody wants
and
that.
those who got the refund are still going to be critical, and perhaps more critical about your project now.
Exactly. Yeah, but let's move on to something more exciting and interesting. Scott, Mass Effect continues. There's no big surprise there, buddy.
No, is this Andromeda 2?
Well, so we'll see. We've also I got this from a press release. I've been interested to learn what kinds of choices we've been making in our own adventures while playing the Legendary Edition. A few months ago, we shared some statistics and learned that Caden or Ashley wasn't an easy decision for you all either. So maybe Mac or Mike were onto something with their choices. 60% of the people chose Ashley.
Easy for me.
Was
Ashley every time. Sorry, Caden.
Yeah, exactly.
I got to hear maybe a dozen of his voice lines, and then he was gone forever.
So 60% chose Ashley over the 40% who chose Caden. For something that makes such an impact through the next two games, that's a surprising choice split. So this is coming right from the devs themselves over at BioWare. We also learned that Garrus was the most likely to survive the suicide mission, but Morden was the least likely, and he thought you cared. Like this, they get into some other stuff here too. Go check out their blog post over on the BioWare page, but it was cool to see that they just kind of touched on, right? It was just N7 Day, and that was why they brought this up. N7 Day has also often been a chance to talk about the future, both for Mass Effect and the games in the industry as a whole. They shared a little peek, Scott, and I have the image here, and it just says Mass Effect will continue. I'm like,
yeah, that's right. A little bit of an impact site. Yep.
Yeah, it was just a little teaser. We know it's going to continue. Scott, I really wish I could have got a lot more into the series, and Man, I can't. When I'm pulled away in so many other directions, I really wanted to get hooked with the remaster, and it didn't hook me. I felt the game was still just as boring. And because it's a trilogy, it's hard to skip the first one, dude, and go right into the second one.
It is, yeah. You're not as invested in the characters of the story, and that's what the main drive is. It's unfortunate for you because I think it was kind of a thing of its time at the same time.
Yeah,
it might have been almost 15 years ago now, actually.
Sure.
So
yeah.
It might not survive kind of in the same harsh lighting.
No, that's just like I feel so left out, Scott. I really do, because so many people love this game, right? I know you, Nate, are huge fans. So for me not to be able to get in and be part of that conversation kind of hurts, because I really want to know what everybody, like, what's all the hype about? It's been talked about for so long. Now I heard a lot of people tell me, Drew, just skip one, go right to two, and that will be a lot better. So I'm tempted maybe over this holiday season to jump back in. We'll see. But I got a quote here. It says, quote, "I can't wait to answer fans' questions in person," Max says. "Whether it's panels or signings or BioWare base, it's always fun to just be in the room with fans and let them ask whatever they want. Meeting franchise fans is always cool," agrees Mike, "and it's good to see how the games have impacted people's lives. Personally, though, I miss the cosplay. I remember at San Diego Comic-Con a number of years back how many groups of Mass Effect cosplayers were there. I want to see that continue, and hopefully we can create new characters that everyone will love and continue the tradition." Dude, that's cool. That's what I mean. Like, so many people are hyped about this, and I'm left out.
No. Oh, that can't be for everybody. I'm thinking of cosplay now. You know, I would love to do a good Saren or Garrus. They're my two favorite. I like that alien race. I don't know what it is about them. They're just
that's cool.
Really cool combat units.
For sure. It is cool. I like something like I got. How far did I get? 15 hours into the first one or something? Like 10 hours?
Holy.
I can't remember how long it was. It's been a while, right? But I'm just like, I can't. I'm trying to get invested and it's just not hooking me. So It is what it is. But dude, let's get into one of my favorite series. We're talking about Assassin's Creed Valhalla roadmap shows upcoming content. The first drop is actually next week. The activities continue. This comes from Stephanie over at VG 24/7. The first new bit of content will continue next week on November 9th. That was actually today. That was the last week article. This will continue in the form of the new title update 1.4 and bring on free tombs and fallen activities. Dude, they got a whole roadmap here.
No, the Fallen have struck this game too.
There's a lot going on in Valhalla. The fact that they keep it going, right? This is where I think we're going to see Valhalla continue. I don't think Valhalla is going anywhere. So I'm trying to wrap up Odyssey as quickly as I can so I can get back into Valhalla and continue on this journey as we get ready for the preparation of Assassin's Creed Infinity. And that's where I think we're going to see content for the next 2 years continue for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. But I know a lot of people, like myself included, felt Valhalla was just a different take on Assassin's Creed that we've all known from the past. But you talk to our buddy Corey from the show, dude absolutely loves the game, thinks it's fantastic. But it's more of an action game now, action adventure, than that stealth game we all kind of grew up on with Assassin's Creed. So it's definitely seen a franchise change in direction as has gone on in later dates. But Scott, have you ever played Valhalla yet, or are you going to get into it?
I have played, a few hours now. I can't really remember how far or where I was, really. It just kind of blurred by because, like you said, it's more of an action RPG. Yeah. And I was trying to look for that stealth, but that stealth attacking horn just ruins that whole idea, doesn't it?
Well, I get why they did the horn thing, right? It's Vikings, and they always blow the horn and say they're coming. But dude, Assassin's Creed was essentially a stealth game. And when you'd go to do your raids, and then you blow your horn, so they say, you can stealth that area, right? So you stealth it all out, kill everybody off. Like, I like to pick them off one by one. It's just kind of my play style. But then at the end of it, you have to get these chests. And the only way to open up these chests are from your crew. You need to bring in your Viking members and help you push this lid open, and then you collect it, right? But the only way to bring them on is by blowing the horn. So it's like, you just alerted everybody anyways. It's just, so I'm hoping I can get past that when I get back into the game, but I had a hard time with it. But yeah, they just released Siege of Paris back in August, and now they got this new one coming up, and the holiday season is upon us as well, more or less, kind of. It's getting there. So they're going to have festivities for that as well. So that's a whole other event. And it just keeps cycling, dude. They did it last year. They're going to do it again this year. So it's cool if you're into Assassin's Creed Valhalla. You're going to get more continued content. They definitely get into some of the more mythological side of things with the Viking time period, which, again, it's just, I want to be more grounded, right? This is why I'm really kind of hooked into the world of the Division, because it seems to be more of a sense of real life than an actual all this other magic and things like that.
They're going with a really far out there story across the Assassin's Creed games, so it's quite removed from historical. Every character you're playing, every action you're doing is through a machine that's scanning your DNA. So like, the science fiction is so integral to the story. But we'll never quite get that Sam Fisher Splinter Cell kind of stealth out of it, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either, Scott. But I know what we're getting today is some new games. Scott, what games are we getting today, buddy?
We have we have some interesting ones. I just got caught up in all the delays.
We'll talk about those tomorrow. I want to bring those up on tomorrow's show.
We have Airborne Kingdom, and that's on the PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, XS, and the Switch. We have Disney Classic Games Collection. That's on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, Switch, and PC. We have Football Manager 2022 on Xbox One and PC. I've seen that on my friends list coming up already. And then we also have Forza Horizon 5 has made its debut. And that's on the Xbox Series XS, Xbox One, and PC. Then lastly, Jurassic World Evolution 2. And that's on PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, XS, and PC.
Dude, that's a city builder. It's a city builder set in the world of Jurassic Park, which is awesome. Did you ever play the first one?
I did a little bit, just a small amount, but it has looked very similar to Planet Zoo. If you're a fan of Zoo Tycoon, anything like that.
Yep, I am. Same developers. Well, it's the same developers, right? Planet Zoo came out to Xbox a long time ago. I actually got to talk to the dev team about Planet Zoo. They're very Frontier developers. They're fantastic over there.
I was going to say, this is Frontier. I know them well from Elite Dangerous.
Yes, who are currently working on Odyssey, which we saw a delay in as well. So yes, there's some unfortunate things going on there. But Scott, that's going to wrap up today's show, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us. It's been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew, that's Scott. We'll see everybody tomorrow inside the game.